welcome to Culture Corner. If this is your first time tuning in, a warm welcome to you. Culture Corner is a partnership with Serenity Resource Connector and the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, and we do this every first Thursday in this space. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Winsome, and it's always a pleasure to share in these moments as we help to inform, educate, inspire, and empower in different areas. And for this episode, we are going to be zoning in on an exploration of the power of the arts in sustaining and reinventing the Jamaican identity. Wondering what's that all about? Stay tuned. Go ahead and share the link and invite others to come on over and join us to learn more. And already we have Damonique Webster in the space. Welcome, Damonique. Thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know why it seems as if Damonique is coming from joining us from over Green Island. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, remember to share the links so others that can come on over and joining us for this awesome forum. No strangers to the space. We have with us again Patrick Earl, JCDC dance specialist. Welcome back, Sir Earl.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here again.
Oh, yes, pleasure to have you back. And we also have a returning guest, Sharna Miller, culture agent at the Green Island High School. Welcome back, Lady Miller.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. You're sounding a little low on your end. I hope that the volume will pick up. Yes, one island. All right, Dominique. All right, fantastic. All right, so we're going to start off by hearing from you, Sir Earl. Where are we with the performing arts? It's performing arts season. Go ahead and share with us what's going on there.
Yes, good night, everyone. Well, at this time, we have just concluded our parish audition throughout Jamaica, and our participants, they are getting ready for our parish finals. Now, at the parish audition, the presentation would have amassed a mark of 65% in order to move on to the parish finals. At that juncture, the participants are given feedback from our most esteemed adjudicators straight across the board: music, dance, drama, speech, in preparation for the parish finals. Now, at the parish finals, if you want to move on to the national finals, you must amass a mark of 95%. Again, at that level, you are given additional feedback to strengthen you for the big stage. Now, at the national finals, that is where now you compete for trophies that are named after practitioners within the field, both dead and alive, because that is one way in which we can continue the knowledge as we go forward, standing on the shoulders of those who would have passed on. So we are getting ready. The competitors are in preparation mode. At this time, they are now, working out their costumes, ensuring that the costume is aligning with the title, so forth and so on.
All right. Sometimes ahead, and I can imagine how colorful those costumes are going to be. I see Miss Miller nodding her head. Sounds like Green Island have some amazing display to go on stage. How many pieces you have going out there, Miss Miller?
Well, my last count, well, we're one of those schools who enter every year of the performance arts, every single area. And I think we probably have over 100 entries this year.
Wow. Amazing. All right. And that's a good place for us to start this discussion about how we are going to be sustaining and, reigniting, reinventing all that is happening. So share with us, Earl. Did I refer to you as Sir Miller earlier? And then I have Sir Miller in mind. It seemed like Sir Miller was on last month from the
Yes.
Jamaica Music Museum, but we have Sir Earl with us, who is going to be sharing how these artistic expressions, the music, the dance, the visual arts, play a role in shaping Jamaican society and identity throughout history.
Right. So as creators, we use our environment, things around us, to create, and therefore, in the past, or practitioners then would have used the environment as resistance, the information thereof as resistance to celebrate what exists then, right? And to direct what is to come in the future. So, for example, our music, reggae music, in the lyrics, you have social consciousness coming out. The reggae practitioners would address things of inequality, oppression, spirituality, and we have listeners listening to those music over and over again. And just by engaging in that listening, you are shaping your understanding of what Jamaica is currently and what it was in the past. We have our traditional folk form that reminds us of our African understanding. And at the same time, we have our traditional folk forms that are indigenous to our space. It was created here, telling stories of what is happening right here in Jamaica. We have our artists. Again, they will use inspiration from the environment. So we have Mr. Barry Watson, we have Edna Manley. So if you should look at their work, you would see the environment being depicted in the various paintings. But also, if we want to, go a little closer, we can speak of our wonderful mama or mother, Louise Bennett, bringing us to the center of who we are in terms of our language and accepting our language and using it to communicate and using it in the written form. Yes, so we have our theater practitioners. So we talk about our pantomime movement. So they will represent community scenes on stage back to those persons that are living in particular community. And when they see their self on stage or themselves on stage, we reflect and we start to think about how we behave consciously. So as you go throughout the landscape of Jamaica, you see remnants of the past. So for example, if you should look at some of our dancehall movements, yes, you would see traditional steps in them. So for example, one that is reigning now is dirt bows, has a close resemblance to kumina in terms of the shifting of the hip as it relates to the lower part of the human body. But when you speak about the torso, you see a little gere in it also. Yeah. So that is one way in which our creators are creating unknowingly or knowingly, but using the past to create on the present.
Powerful history there. All right. Awesome. Always awesome to learn more about that. Our rich history, what's been going on, and the pioneers too, and how we continue to maintain that. Uh, when we talk about sustaining and reinventing, that's something that no one individual or entity can do by himself, herself, itself. You must have some collaboration going on there, right?
Yeah.
So, share with us some specific examples how collaboration between artists, organizations, and communities, as the communities are essential to all that we're doing, has contributed to preserving and evolving Jamaican culture while staying true to our core identity, because that is very important.
Yes, man, you are so
Earl
right.
again, and then we're gonna have Lady Miller weigh in on that,
All
especially at
right.
the community level. Yes.
Awesome. And before I start to call some name, I just want to look at the word that you mentioned, sustaining, correct?
You're right.
And in order to sustain, you have to maintain.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And anything, when you talk about maintenance, you're talking about money in order to maintain. It's not going to happen by itself, right? So we have activities like Reggae Sunsplash. Every year, people pay to go to Reggae Sunsplash, right? And therefore, the promoters use that as a vehicle to promote the reggae practitioners and not just music, because you have to think about the K and Juice man. He needs to make money too. Yeah, you're thinking about or dressmakers. Yeah, we're talking about our fashion. So when we think of the dancehall space and we're creating the dancehall space in a concert fashion, we are not just thinking of the performer on stage only, but we are thinking about the ecosystem, right? So they will participate in sustaining reggae music by maintaining, by attending and supporting each other. We have close to my dear heart, we have JCDC, the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission, that was created by a former Prime Minister, Edward Siaga, right? And JCDC is an act of parliament, and therefore there is a centered respect for the art from that understanding. And therefore, the government of Jamaica would have budgeted for training and development and showcasing of the creative talents within our country. Just recently, the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sports have awarded our reggae practitioners in an event called Reggae Gold Awards. Yes, we award them for the contribution that they would have done. We have institutions like the Bob Marley Foundation, yeah, would have given grants to institution to maintain what they do. We have the National Dance Theatre Company of Jamaica, a voluntary organization of professionals. But what we produce, because I'm a member also, is professionalism to the core. We have other dance companies like La Cadco, a Caribbean United Dance Force led by Dr. Lantoinette Steins. Now, all of those companies labor of love. Yes, they would have written proposals to several organizations like the Chase Fund, yeah, who would give them grants from time to time to support the work. We have the Jamaica film industry, and an activity was just promoted within the industry, um, providing grants for filmmakers to offer ideas, and the government of Jamaica would finance it. So we have various organizations. We have community groups. We have community groups. We don't have those established groups only. But when you go to the nook and crannies of Jamaica, we have our practitioners who have entered the JCDC's competition from time to time, and without them operating, using our traditional folk forms, yes, to showcase and promote the community where those traditional folk from would come from. So we have right here, we have Miss Shauna Miller from Green Island, is all about Etu. Yes, and the power of just using that traditional folk form within the context of the high school alone is testament to the power of the arts and the importance of community groups. So over to you, Miss Miller, to bring some, authenticity to what I'm saying.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Quite a lot. And thank you for that history. I'm going to start with the first question. I hope you're hearing me better now. So I'm going to start with the first question. The first thing you spoke about, um, going with Patrick. The performing arts, we know image is life. It's a reflection of what goes on in life. And for us, and I'm speaking from the Hanover and the Green Island High experience, what we present each year is what mirrors what we see. Because the truth is, the performing arts and theatre does not exist in a vacuum. It's what is around you. And so I guess a lot of persons wonder, why is it that we enter so much pieces? Why is it that they do well? It's not just because the motto is excellent. but it's because the students get a chance to, whatever is happening around them, that they become a part of the process and see how they can use the arts as whether it is to create change or to bring awareness or to continue with what Patrick spoke about maintaining and sustaining. So you will realize every year, for example, we get into it. What is it that Hannah spoke about? Etu. Etu is found nowhere else in the world but in Hannibal. Came from Yoruba. Yorubans came here. The slaves, the indentured slaves came here, and so there's a little community. And so ever since I got there, one thing that we continue to do every year is that every one of our students, and a way of maintaining and preserving our culture, gets a chance to understand what is Etu. And it's not even about winning the medals, it's about perseverance of our culture. And so, and even the Eto and the Gary. So we ensure that that is done. As you speak about collaboration, it's an exciting time for us when it gets on to festival. Many people wonder, why is it that you enter JCBC festival when there are other competitions to enter? But the truth is that it gives you a chance at JCBC for our young ones to explore and to be exposed, to unearth new talents, and to get them to be everybody to become a part of it. Because let me tell you, it is a whole community experience. It is not just a school experience. It is a student's experience. It is all the stakeholders. It is the parents' experience. It's everybody's experience. Because it's that time when everybody they just make us. As a matter of fact, I must tell you that even during our cultural forums, what we do is that we bring in people from the community so that our children learn how to respect the elders and what is it and hear from them because there is a history that is just so untapped, that is untapped. And by the way, one of the things that we're embarking on now is documenting because there's so many things that we never got to document at our end and we wanted to continue to preserve. Um, Also at the community level, although we're not like some communities where you have a Hanover community, a kind of a cultural group, but what you have is small little groups. And what we have started at Green Island is a group that we call Gifts. And gifts are just it's just a form of students. And so now they are entering festival as a continue to sustain. So these former students, the two things that are happening that is so dynamic in our space is that now they are entering as a group. Some of them are very old people, but they are entering as a group. But not only that, they come in now each year to pass on this knowledge to our students, to pass on the history and to pass on their own knowledge of how to do it and to get it done. So each year for me, even as I get older, I'm not able to do all the Gary steps and all the Kumna steps anymore. But there's always somebody, there's continuity. Um, and I want to mention something about the reflection of what is happening. It's something that happens every year that's dynamic at the beginning of the performing arts season in our space. And it's where all students gather to tell me what is it that they want to look at this year? What is it that you're seeing that you want to tell a story about? Or what is it that you want to maintain? Or what are your concerns? So when they enter, it's not even about them winning medals. It's about them just owning what they have and just knowing that it's me trying to make a statement and me telling the world. So you will realize that we have explored some very interesting topics and some that they would not my story, the children's story. And so it continues, the spirit of excellence. And as he spoke, how do we continue to preserve and acknowledge so we have something, and I'm speaking about with our space at our school, because we want our children. As a matter of fact, every student at Green Island High School, everyone from grade 7 to grade 13, they are exposed to the arts. Every one of them from grade 7, whether it is music or drama, they are exposed. And so what we do not only give our students mere awards, we have something that we call the Spirit of Excellence Award, and it is a big thing at our school, where once you do well in the arts and other areas too, you are given an award, not just the students, but the parents from there, because it's a whole school, it's a whole community, it's a whole parish experience.
And if I may, I just want to add two more points
Yes.
yeah. So we have schools, communities like Tivoli, where we have the Tivoli dance troupe. They are the longest standing entrance within the JCBC dance competition. And so you have students way back then who would have been dancers on stage, and now there are teachers leading other community groups, not just the Tivoli community, but other, from Spanish Town straight to Montego Bay. So when you talk about sustaining, and I will add to
Yes.
that replicating, we have
Mm,
Stella Maris, yeah, and as you talk about institutional organization, I want to mention the Edamame College and other high schools that has the theater arts as a part of the formal education. Because a part of the thing, though we are preparing students for the creative industry, yeah, and when they leave, they should be in a position to fit right in it. But
right.
also, we need to create them to provoke the creative industry to be innovators. And when they reach there, they are now pushing to the next thing. So, how colleges and university craft their curriculum is critical for continuity of the arts.
Indeed.
I
Indeed.
really just add also
Before you share, Miss Miller, let's pause to acknowledge the Marco, Justin, Merlene, Carlene, a lot of Leans here joining us from over there in Hanover. All right, and we have commendations coming in from Infinity X, and we have this is Dustin Plays. All right, great job, Mr. Earl and Miss Miller. All right, and someone is saying amen. Sounds like you were preaching real good, Miss Miller. Oh, all right, go ahead, Miss Miller, and share.
I was just to say to Mr. Earl, we forget the Portland Dr. Big
Yeah. Ooh.
Auntie Maureen and the Port Antonio Theatre Company.
Yes.
And I'm glad what you spoke about these persons going impacting other spaces, but there's something a little bit more than the arts. Not only because I really don't believe in just our students just preparing them for continuity in the arts. It's how to integrate the arts with other aspects of their life. So that
Ah,
at Green Island High School, we'll tell them it's not a vocation. But some may not end up in the arts. Some are doing very well. Some of our students extremely well in the arts. But what we want them to do is to use the elements of the arts to become better individuals. The skills from the arts, the social skills, the corporation skills, the thinking and the analysis and or to think analytically. I always say that students who do the arts are bright because they will take something that is two-dimensional, make it three-dimensional, and just bring up the stage. So that's one of the things that we emphasize. We do not use theater arts because or the arts at Green Island High because we want them to become actors or dancers. We want them to, it's a holistic approach. When they come to class, they learn how to be better students, more aesthetically aware. Because if they're more aesthetically aware, they're more sensitive. And may I just add, you may wonder why is it that there are some areas at our school you'll never see graffiti. And the level of graffiti and stuff that you'll see, and I'm gonna boast here at other schools, you may not see it at my school because most of our students are aesthetically aware. They are more sensitive. Yes, they are going to be the fight, but they will think first before um, destroying the environment because they understand the importance of beauty and taking care of self and place. And so that's one of the things that we emphasize, not just about the arts, it's the self and how you use the arts to propel you to make changes. So,
beautiful. And you have already gone into how the power of the arts, because it's not just about sustaining our culture or but values. And that's where we're going next in terms of how the Jamaican art forms serve as vehicles for preserving and transmitting Jamaican traditions, values, and heritage to future generations. And you have already started on that, Miss Miller. So continue by sharing, and then Sir
very
Earl will
good.
take over.
Let me tell you something. I believe and I stand resolute that the arts is the most powerful vehicle to ensure that there's change. And I want to say that any school that does not have a theater program or performing arts program, get on board. Because when you talk about maintaining discipline, well, let's look at how the arts impact the child just
Yes.
academically. There is this notion that people say, nah, I only don't stick to the arts. And we only send those to the arts, those who are not able to do certain things, we send them to do the arts. Absolutely no. When a student who's engaged in the arts become, as we said, they learn to analyze. Their comprehension skill is widened. Because the art is taught from a constructivist point. So our students learn how to discover learning on their own. The arts is not you putting things on their throat. It's a very thing that the Minister of Education speaks about. It's not chalk and talk, it's engaging. So they own what they're doing. So academically, a student that excel in the art, excel in everything. We can proudly say that most of our head boys and head girls are students of the arts. Make up yourself, Coliseum, the dancer, and Mikkel, who are the present head boy and head girl, and our top art performing art students. And so they become, they're more articulate. They speak much better. They're our dancers. Oh, Mr. Earl, you see how our dancers carry themselves, their stature. So let's even talk about that. But then when you talk about the other social skills of them just learning the whole thing of discipline, of working together, of stepping into somebody else's shoe. Because one of the problems we have in Jamaica is empathy. We don't know, or children don't know how to empathize. And that's why we are even pushing it harder now at our school, because we want them to understand how to walk in somebody's shoe, how to understand how somebody feels. And that is what the art does. It allows you to step into somebody else's shoe so you understand, so you become more caring and more a little warmer to persons. So yes, it is far reaching in terms of discipline, as I said before. They're disciplined, they learn to be on time, they understand how to understand to listen to others. It sharpens their listening skill, their concentration skills. They understand how is it to stay put in one place and focus and how to persevere. It is just magic,
Ma-
the power of the arts.
Magic indeed.
But it sounds like Green Island has some special magic over there, because this sounds like something that needs to be transmitted, exported, the word you used earlier, to other schools, because this sounds like something that could help to stem the behavioral challenges that a number of schools are experiencing. So that's something worth exploring in terms of how that can help with the behavioral challenges, because they are actually utilizing their energy in one area, and that energy can be rediverted to the arts. So, Sir Earl, over to you.
Yes, yes, yeah. I am so passionate about this. To be honest, Howard Gardner multiple intelligence theory is centered in the arts, meaning that we have different types of learners. We have the kinesthetic, we have the linguistic, so forth and so on. So I'm going to give you an example of how we can infuse arts within the curriculum. As was stated before, we're not training them to be the dancer or the dramatist, so forth and so on. But we are understanding the modality within the arts and applying it to areas that will better cause learning to happen. So, for example, in mathematics, when you're teaching matrices, you have what we call these cross multiplications, and you have rows and you have columns. Now, if you use quadrille, that when the partners are dancing, you have north, south, east, west, and you have partner A dancing over to partner B, right? That same pathway of moving from your side to the other side is a physical demonstration of the cross multiplication in matrices. And therefore, taking them through quadrille pathways, north, south, east, west, moving from the north to the south, will give them, as I said before, a physical understanding of the cross multiplication in matrices. And therefore, that is the power of the arts. How can we now teach from a tactile perspective, where in teaching math, it is very linguistic and you're explaining, but that child that is tactile, that need to be touched and feel the content, would enjoy that process. So now is for us to understand the various modalities within the arts, and using the art to teach other content area. And that is the power of the arts. When we can have a student imagine something in their head space and put it in painting, put it in a song, put it in a dance choreography, and they're watching what is in their head on stage. That is the power of the arts. And therefore, I want to touch on our practitioners, or writers, or DJ practitioners, that when you write your lyrics, the values in that song, whether it is good or bad, will be transmitted because of the power of the arts. So, for example, if you're playing the keyboard and you play on the minor key, you strike certain emotions, and therefore you compel the listener to listen because of the chords that you play, and therefore the lyrics that are on that chord, yes, yes, is transmitted, and they will listen. So there is a responsibility that practitioners possess when they are creating. And we have to think about what society we want to create when we are on the pursuit of making money.
Well said. And it ties in perfectly with what Avante shared last month as we spoke about reggae music, um, in terms of when he's writing as an educator, he's mindful of that. And the same thing that you mentioned, because in the music, they're able to evoke certain emotions, and he takes responsibility for whatever it is that he puts out there. And so that's very powerful. All right. Whoa. So much to unpack here. All right, so we let's take it to the global, international stage, because so many other nationals would want to be Jamaican. They want to sound like Jamaican, look like Jamaican. It's only some Jamaicans don't want to sound and look like Jamaicans, which is really ironic, right? So, in terms of the global influence of Jamaican arts, particularly reggae music, dancehall, and visual arts, how do you think these art forms contribute to promoting Jamaican culture and our identity on the international stage? Sir Earl.
So we have, so in the past, Professor Rex Netterford speaks of culturation, simulation, and in terms of your inner space, and therefore you need to adapt to that space. Um, but on an international space, let me say it again. For example, as a dancer, you cannot go to England to be a ballet dancer from Jamaica, because ballet is from there. Why are you going over there to showcase ballet? Be who you are. You will understand the fundamentals of ballet, and then you will understand your Jamaicanness, merge both creolization, and present something fresh to the world. So, for example, in the context of dance, um, Lantec was created by Dr. Lantoinette Steins, right? So it's a fusion of the ballet understanding and the dancehall understanding to produce Lantec on an international stage. So you are globally relevant, but you are global. No, you are locally relevant, but you're globally impactful, because you cannot go globally and try to present what they have. You have to present you with international standard in mind. So therefore, Orega artists going on the international stage, how do you now write your lyrics but still speak about our Jamaican context, and consciousness. Bob Marley did that. Yes. Sean Paul did that. And others have done it. Yes. So you can't just create for locality. You have to think of global impact and therefore how the dancer is trained and how the curriculum is designed must have global relevance in its creation in order to be impactful. I do hope I understand. I mean, I would have articulated that particular question, but it's all about standard and maintaining that standard wherever you go, whether it is in your writing. Look at the Honorable Dr. Louise Bennett. Look here, she is a broadcaster on BBC. Yeah, she understand English, but look here, she understand the patois too. So she's representing. You don't you don't or I should put this, you don't lock yourself in the space that you're from. You have to understand outside of your space. And that is why when our students are learning in the classroom, we need to take them on the outside so they understand and see other expression and situate their understanding and their voice in a global sense.
Amazing. Lady Miller?
I agree with you, Sir Earl. I do, and I'm gonna voice some concerns and also probably at this stage make some recommendations because there is just no. The truth is, Jamaica culture, whether it's on music or dance, we have made just significant impact globally. However, here's where my challenge is, and this is what Sir Earl speak about. It's about how do we maintain our Jamaicanness, but still have the chance to, to expand ourselves globally. And some of the question is, how do we allow our students and our people to understand that this you're not only creating, when you're creating, it's not just creating for this small space, but to get them to think bigger. And every time I speak of my experience. So our students will tell them it's not about where you are now. It's preparing for bigger. For their bigger, it is Kingston. But then there's bigger than Kingston. There's just so many opportunities. So how do we train them? So it comes down with the curriculum. So even although the theater arts program is geared a lot on theater in the Caribbean and Caribbean attitudes and so forth, and it reminds the child that our Caribbean and our Jamaican theater and our Jamaican culture is absolutely amazing. But how do we broaden it? Because a culture grows by adding and putting some little things and adding a little thing here. And Patrick spoke about, like the land tech and Sean Paul who cross boundaries. So here is where my concern is, and Sir Earl, and here is where I'm probably going to have to challenge the JCDC and ask them, is that we're just going to have to find a greater way of exposing our children on a greater level so they understand that what they're doing is not in a small space and their talent is big. How do we prepare them not just to do one Louis Bennett poem, but to get them to think, to find different.
Right. Oh, okay.
Switch up.
So,
Breaking transmission.
oh, right.
Keep
So,
up
so,
there,
so
Sir
at
Earl.
KCDC, we unearth, we develop, and we showcase. So, what I'm hearing from Miss Miller, is that how can JCDC now cause our participants to understand what next? You have entered the competition. What is next? Now, JCDC has developed a department or business development department that books artists. Yes, right, and therefore anybody who have seen a JCDC presentation during the competition, you can contact the JCDC and we will um, take you through the ropes because you have to pay them and we will engage them, right? So we are, in addition to creating and unearthing, we are now booking artists. We are not booking artists. We have a production department. Yes. So in staging or shows, we have a production department that deals with that. Take the artist from a competition understanding now to the big stage. Yes, we can do more as it relates to international engagement festivals. Yes, we can do more. We can take these presentation to Carifesta. We have done that in the past, but we haven't done that since lately. And so it's to have them understand that far above entering the competition, we can monetize the arts. But in order to monetize the arts, there must be investment. And parents oftentimes redirect their sons and their daughters from their passion because they don't know that you can make money from it. I have studied dance. That is all I've done. I've danced with the National Dance Theatre Company after studying in New York. Well, first at Endermandy College and then Brockport. I am now in Jamaica. I have danced with the National Dance Theatre Company. I have choreographed. I have been paid. I was a teacher at St. Catherine High. I'm an adjunct lecturer at various university, and all I'm doing is teaching dance. Yes, money can be made, but you have to invest in order to make money. Talent is not everything, and therefore you need to study so that when somebody call you to choreograph, you are charging them to sit down and think of the choreography. You're charging them for the rehearsal time. Yes, and you're charging them for the end product. So if that dance must be showcased on April the 5th, I'm charging you for that. But there is an additional charge if you're going to repeat that performance further down the line. If you're going to use my image for this ad, it's for this ad. Henceforth, it is more money. So it's to re-educate the parents to the in addition to the benefits of the arts, but the monetization possibilities in the context of the green economy, right? So I think we can have sessions with participants for them to understand the arts outside of its competition modality. And I think that is something as JCDC we can do. But in the reggae month that just went, there were several conversations at the Ministry of Gender, Entertainment and Sports to the viability of the arts. It is done in the context of adults, but again, I think we can do it in the context of our students.
Well said. Uh, JCDC, as with everyone else, based on what's happening, we have to innovate, wheel and
Yes,
come again, because the times are changing, and we have to find different ways, new ways of carrying on,
and
different
Shitanika,
approaches. Yes,
if I may add, our
sure.
culture corner is a recent development,
That's
right?
right.
As we talk about, we have a film competition. Yes, that is a recent development where we use the Jamaican proverbs for
Yes.
filmmakers, students to create short films for a competition. That is a new innovation. We have our writers circle. The thing is that individuals often think of the JCDC and the traditional folk form in the context of the 1st of August and the 6th of August celebration, not understanding as you each September, we have entries are opening as open for a competition. In the month of
Right.
October and November, we have our workshops. And then January straight down to April, we have our competition. And then you see the end product in August. So it is a yearly understanding that I want or persons that are listening to understand that the sustaining and the maintenance of our culture is not an event. So we think of our folk
Process.
form in the context of an event, a show, but work would have happened long before to see the product. So I'm promoting now process of our Jamaican identity.
That's right. All right. And before we get into our final question, as you
Yes.
mentioned, competitions, it is Festival Queen season as well. So please get your entries in. If you know a young lady between the age of 18 and 25 that you think should be the next Festival Queen for your parish, you want to encourage them to go and submit their entries. The deadline was actually extended to March 15th. So they can go ahead and submit their entries so that they can get the exposure. You can direct them to Culture Corner playlist here on YouTube,
Mhm.
where they can get insights from former festival queens as they share their journey, how the competition has benefited them, and how they have been able to utilize what they learned in the competition. We even have persons who have actually continued in terms of making a business out of their parish project. So those are some things that you want to check into. A lot of resources are in this space, so you want to just go there and tap into that. All right, Sir Earl, as we went into the whole matter of innovation, because Culture Corner was an innovation that came out, and this space was created out of it was during COVID that this all started back in 2021. I'd invited Mrs. Marjorie Layden Curtin on to share about Festival Queen, as we're talking about Festival Queen now, and she loved the space. And it's at the end of that 1 hour program that we decided that we are going to be doing Culture Corner. And that's how
Ah.
Culture Corner started back in 2022. Officially
Mm.
launched the Culture Corner, and we have been going since then, sharing different aspects of JCDC, highlighting some of the talents that have gone through. They share their journey. We have had our young people sharing even the performing arts. We have heard from the students themselves sharing in this space how they have benefited and how they have been able to perform better in other subject areas because of the performing arts, as Miss Miller shared earlier. I hope she'll be able to join us before
Mm.
we close. It seems she might be having some connection challenges, right? But in the meantime, innovative approaches, what other innovative approaches JCDC have been embracing to foster creativity and adaptation within Jamaican culture while maintaining our authenticity, because that's very important to differentiate ourselves in the global space.
So we're talking about authenticity, and if you talk about authenticity, you have to understand what you are creating from,
That's
and
right.
not just understanding it, but respecting it. And therefore, for example, in our popular song competition or festival song competition, so it has been shifted from popular song to festival song. And I do believe, so I am not in that environment in terms of the thinkers, but looking on the shifting from popular song to festival song is to maintain or mentor music. Yeah, because most of those festival song is situated within the mentor vibe or the revival understanding. But it's not that we're going to lock ourselves in the mentor or revival rhythmic pattern. How can you now go into the studio using technology, yeah, to lift the understanding of what mentor music should sound like, what revival music should sound like, what a communal music should sound like. So if you listen to some of our dancehall songs, you will hear the rhythm of a revival understanding. Ta, ka, ta, ta, ta. So you hear those rhythmic pattern. If you listen closely, you'll hear some mental, a chika, so on and so on. But you maintain authenticity, as I said before, by respecting and understanding what the traditional thinking is, but you are not afraid to innovate, but you're coming from a place, right? So, for example, the Jamaican Music Medium, which is located, museum rather, which is located in Kingston, they're using multimedia in their exhibition, yeah, and the exhibition is interactive, right? And therefore, technology is centered in showcasing the music. In the context of dance, we're thinking of dance on camera. How do you now record a choreography, bring it into digital understanding, and using various features, editing features to recreate the dance presentation, right? So at the JCDC, as a result of the pandemic, we now understand that workshops can be done online. Yes, so we have a good amount of our workshops content delivered by Jamaican practitioners on the various platform. So if you go on the JCDC website, you will see workshops that have used technology to communicate or traditional folk forms. If you talk about visual arts, we have Kingston Creative, we have the Art Walk and street art. So if you go downtown, you see wonderful murals, you know, using digitization of the art form to superimpose them on various walls within areas of downtown. Yes, but from the context of the JCDC, we have our film, as I said before, competition. We are we have attempted the dance on camera, but as you know, with any invention, you need to have an ecosystem in order for it to sustain, and therefore we have to now link with various university who is training persons within technology and creating a collaboration between the computer programmer and the dancer, the editor, and try to create a ecosystem to cause that understanding to be viable. Sorry, right. You're muted. Yes.
Thank you so much. Well said. A lot of opportunities there.